Hello and welcome to another video. Today we're just gonna go ahead and be once again working in my Doodle sketchbook. And today we are gonna be working on some more expressions. So I'm just gonna have the expression sheet that I used pop up on the screen right about now. So if you guys want to go ahead and follow along with me, you are free to do so. Alrighty. So today, we're just gonna be doing some expressions, like I said. Except today we're not gonna be sketching out Duke, who you can see on the other paper. Hi, Duke. We're actually gonna be drawing Katsuo today. Which, if you watched my video on Monday, you'll know that he is actually the main character of the story that Duke and everybody else is in. It's taken me a long time to introduce him. I don't know if I was like nervous or something unconscious was keeping me from talking about him on the channel. But this is Katsuo. This is what he looks like. This is the MC. Obviously you can't exactly see him right now because I'm still sketching him out. All right, now he's just a little head. But you'll see what he looks like in a couple of minutes when I finish this little doodle. Yeah. So Katsuo is also a not high school, a college senior. And they all go to the same college. And I think I am gonna go with the vampire version of the story. So his friend gets turned into a vampire, and him and the rest of his friend group try to figure out how to help her because instead of becoming a vampire, the vampire bite just makes her sick. So they go to meet up with Duke and his friends because it turns out that they were turned into vampires by the same vampire, and it turns out that they don't like being vampires, so they would like to figure out a way to reverse being vampires. Um, and the reason why Katsuo is the main character, you should always try to find reasons to why your MC is the MC, because if there's no reason why they're the MC, it doesn't make sense to make them the main character. So Katsuo is our point of view character and main character because he and Duke have a past, and he is like the into getting the vampire guys to help them find like the head vampire, so that way they can kill them and try to make everybody else not vampires anymore. And also, the reason he's the MC is because he goes through an arc um, of like character development and growth and stuff. So I'm still trying to hash out some of the details, but that's like the basic gist of what I want to happen in the story, or at least that's like the setup and the premise or whatever. But mostly currently, I'm just trying to draw Katsuo more because he's supposed to be the main character, and I have a really bad case of liking side characters, so I end up drawing the side characters for the story more than I do the main character. And even though I have a lot of affection for him, as I have a lot of affection for all my characters, I don't really have that many ideas for him outside of the main story. Like I don't really draw a lot of AUs of him and stuff, and I feel like drawing the AUs that I do for characters shows my passion. And also, working out AUs can also help you try to figure out like canon personality traits. Like you're just writing the character more than if you're not doing anything with them. So it helps to figure out different personality traits for them that I can incorporate into the main story. So currently, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to draw Katsuo more, or put him into more little AU stories, so that way I can help hammer out his personality some more. Like he's got a personality a little bit, but mostly he's like a generic nice guy, but he's pro revenge. Like one of the AUs I wrote was that he really wanted to get revenge on his high school bully, and so he went to like really terrible lengths to do that. So I know for a fact that he's slightly vindictive, which is a cool personality trait to have. But I'm not really sure too much about him past that. Unfortunately, I'm not one of those writers that like has like really detailed character profiles. I tried to be that writer for a long time, like really trying to plan things out, like birthdays and everybody's family and a whole bunch of stuff, what they were like in like the third grade, stuff like that. But I'm really not that kind of writer. I wanted to be a planner, but really I'm just better at flying by the seat of my pants. Because if I plan out the whole story, then I get bored and I don't want to write it. And then if I do write anything for it, I end up rewriting it because I look at it and I'm like, well, I don't like that. So I go back and I fix it. I never finish anything, which is the whole point of me trying to finish one short story a month. It's just so that way I could start to finish stuff. I never finish anything. And so I could never show off anything that I do because I never finish anything. And it's a real bummer. So I'm trying to write more, even with my comic characters like Katsuo. Well, they're not really comic characters. The plan was for them to be in the book. I just draw them for inspiration. But maybe I'll make it into a comic. I don't know. That's also part of the problem is I keep bouncing back between what sort of medium I want them to be in. My heart says book because, like I said, I've always felt like I'm more of a writer than an artist. And also, it takes me like a super long time to draw in comparison to how long it takes me to write. Um, I have a lot of ideas, so I can just like shit out ideas for writing really fast. And also, I can type pretty fast, but I can't draw super fast. Like I said, this is a 45-minute video, and I don't even do the whole page of expressions. Um, so if I was gonna draw like a comic, it would take me forever to get it done. And I don't think there's a problem with people taking a long time to get their comic written and done or put out or whatever. I don't have a problem with that. It's just that I know myself personally, and if I'm taking forever to draw the comic, I'm not gonna want to post it or I'm gonna get bored of the story because I plan for the story to be pretty long. And from the advice I've seen about making a comic is you're gonna want to try to make your first comic a short one so that way you finish and you get a little bit of a taste of that gratification, and that gratification is supposed to carry you through, so that way you can write longer stories, right? Because doing stuff like this, keeping yourself motivated, it's really just tricking yourself um, little bits at a time so that way you can keep your motivation. I don't know if other people are just like super, super motivated all the time. Unfortunately, I'm not one of those people. I've tried. I've always looked up like why am I not motivated? What's my problem? And it's not really. I mean, it's not really a problem. It's just something that I struggle with, and it's okay if you struggle with lack of motivation. That's all right. So that's why us guys who struggle with motivation have to just sometimes trick our little tiny brains into getting just a taste of that instant gratification that we like so much so that way we can keep going. So yeah, I'm currently in the process of figuring out how to trick my little brain so that way I can keep going. Um yeah, well, just talking about the art for a little bit, I just picked a random expression sheet off the internet again. And I don't think it worked out as well as it did last time. No offense to this artist, I think their expression sheet is really good. But compared to the last one, I feel like it's a little sillier than I had planned for it to be. I didn't really look at it too closely when I was picking it out, which is silly. Like if you're gonna draw something, you should really look at it a little bit closely, so that way you can see if it's something that you actually want to do. It's just that some of the expressions are a little bit sillier than I like to draw, but maybe that's a good thing. I don't really push expressions too much, so practicing with some more silly ones and something I would never think to draw and pushing myself out of my comfort zone is probably a good thing, which is probably why I feel so uncomfortable about it. And like oh, I don't think it turned out very well is because it's just stuff, they're just expressions that I would never really pick to draw myself. But I'm trying to focus on that being a good thing. It is a good thing to push yourself out of your comfort zone if you want to improve. If you don't want to improve, that's cool. Stay in your little bubble, draw what you want to draw all the time. That sounds really fun. Unfortunately, I am in the market to improve my art, so I do have to make myself uncomfy sometimes. I don't really like to be uncomfy, but I don't know anybody who does. If they do, that's chill. I don't know how you go. Well, maybe they don't have any anxiety, so that's why they're okay with being uncomfortable because they're like, oh, whatever, it's part of life. Then whenever I'm comfortable, I'm like, I really don't like this. I wish I could go back to being comfy. I just want to wrap up in a ball and have no one talk to me ever. Alas, we cannot live that way. So we make drawings that we don't really like too much. Not to say that I don't like any of the drawings in this spread. You'll see them a little bit later. There's like 4 or 5 of them that I actually really liked. I think they turned out pretty well. Unfortunately, when I was looking at the expression sheet, in my mind's eye or whatever, I kept seeing them as 3/4 views, where his head is facing the left side. So most of them are just that. I wish that there was a little bit more variety in the way that I was seeing them. Only like 2 of them I could see as particularly being front views. Unfortunately, I didn't really get to practice any right side facing. Um, what's it called? 3/4 views, which is unfortunate because I feel like that's the one that I struggle with more. I feel like I do the left facing one a lot more often than I do the right facing one. I don't know why. I think it's because I'm right handed. Yeah, so that's a little bit about the art and why all most of the heads are 3/4 view facing to the left. I guess I could talk a little bit about my materials. I know most of the time I use the same pen, but as you can see, I am using a different pen today. Really shaking it up this week with different pens. But instead of using a high-tech C in orange, which I do own, I don't know why, I just didn't feel like using it. I'm using a Sarasa Nano in 0.3. You guys already know 0.3, my favorite size of pen. I bought these in a pack of 4. Um, it was this orange one and a blue and a green and a yellow. And the only reason why I bought the pack was because I wanted the yellow pen. And I couldn't find it individually. And it was in a 0.3. So I was like, well, I'll just buy the whole thing, whatever. It's not like I won't use them. I do use them. I use all my pens. Well, most of them. I have a lot, so I'm using them in order as they run out. Try not to buy any more, but yeah. Um, I bought the pack for the yellow one because the the what's it called? The high tech C's, they don't come in yellow. Well, they do come in yellow, but it's in like the high tech C Colado, which is like a pen that is like it's like a pack of one of those it's a multi pen, so it's like a pen with like a whole bunch of other colors in it, and I don't like multi pens. um I don't know. They're just too bulky for my hands. I don't know if you can tell, but my hands are actually pretty small compared to like my body size. And it's a blessing and a curse in many ways. But yeah, so multi pens are always too big for my hands, and I didn't want to buy a multi pen just for the color yellow, so I had to go outside of my favorite brand to find a yellow pen. Um, Obviously, you're not going to see the yellow pen because I'm using orange today. I'm using orange because orange is actually the character color that I chose for Katsuo. And I drew Duke in red because red is his character color. I don't know if you guys are like me, but I really like color coding characters. All of my characters that I like to draw have like a specific color picked out for them. Not all of my book characters have a specific color because I don't really draw them, but if I do make like a design for them in my sketchbook or whatever, I like to associate them with a specific color. I think maybe that's just part of my like weeb brain because a lot of anime does that. One Piece does that, and Naruto characters are associated with specific colors too. Um, like Naruto is orange and Rock Lee is green, etc., etc. Um, so yeah, I think it's a holdover from me liking anime as I like to color code characters. Um, I used to, when I was drawing them in my sketchbook, I would only draw them in their specific color. Um, so I would have to go back and forth if I was drawing like a comic. But then I was like, you know what? That is such like a waste of time. It makes your sketchbook colorful, but I was like, I'm just gonna do one color per page. I just feel like that is better and it looks a little bit more cohesive. But I would still pick color coded character colors for your characters specifically. I just think it's fun. What I mean by a waste of time is not that it's like a waste of time to like go back and forth. It's just for me, it was taking me a lot longer to draw, and as we already know, it take so long to draw already. So pausing after I draw one character and then grabbing another color so I can draw the next one. It slows down my process a lot and it kind of slows down my brain because instead of just going ahead and drawing my idea, I have to pause and go ahead and grab another pen. And I'm pretty forgetful. Like, I will genuinely forget something in the span of like 10-15 seconds. So I kind of have to move when I'm drawing, or else I will forget what I was going to do and it will not come back to me. It's really unfortunate. I don't have like a memory condition or anything. I'm just a forgetful person. At least I don't think I have a memory condition. I hope not. Um, I do have trouble remembering things, but I think that's a symptom of something else, not like a memory disorder, hopefully. Moving on from that, I've been moving through this week pretty well. Um, it's been posting for a month and about, um, by Wednesday, I'll have been posting for a month. So I'm proud of myself there, but I also feel like I'm already starting to lose motivation. Um, that's a problem with me. I have trouble being consistent. I know this. I am trying to correct this about myself. As part of why I started this YouTube channel was so that I could consistently draw, and I could just, talk about my art process a little bit, because that's, like I said, I've had trouble being consistent, and I feel like if I was posting to other people, they would bully me a little bit, bully me in a nice way, I mean, to be like, "Oh, I miss your art. I wish you would post again." Um, but also, it would bully me in the sense that I wouldn't want to let you guys down, because you look forward to watching my videos, or at least I hope you do. Even if it's just one person that likes my videos, I'm happy to post for you. So yeah, I'm trying to remain consistent, but I can feel myself losing motivation. And I'm not really sure what to do about it. Um, it's not that I'm not drawing. I draw every day. It's just that I don't like filming myself drawing. I guess I could just go ahead and start posting more speed paints. I think people like them better anyway because they're shorter videos. Um, but no offense to people who like shorter videos. I prefer videos that are long. Like, I'm more likely to click a video that's like 45 minutes because I need like background noise. I don't know about you guys if your brain has also been routed by the internet, but I kind of need something in the background to do things. If it's not a YouTube video, it's I'm listening to music. Um, I don't mind the sound of silence. Um, like, but whenever I'm just listening to nothing, like whenever I'm just in the sound of silence, my mind drifts a lot. Like, I'm spending a lot of time thinking. And it's not that I don't like to think. I do like to think. It makes it sound like I don't like thinking. I do like to think. It's just that I'm trying to focus on other things, so I don't want my mind to wander too much. So I could just let the music play or whatever, or listen to like a podcast or something, and it just helps keep my brain focused on what I'm doing specifically at the time. So yeah, I'm just trying to make videos that other people can have on in the background. And so I'm trying to make them longer and to have talking all the way through. So that way I could just be your little background buddy. And I know that's kind of like a weird want to have. Like, I feel like most people would want other people to pay attention to what they're saying. Um, but that's not really my goal. My goal is to be the person that you put on in the background, just to keep you company. Like, you're just having a conversation with your friend and you're letting them ramble on, and you're kind of paying attention to what they're saying, but also you're just enjoying the time that you're spending together, without really super focusing on their words too much. Um, I don't know. I feel like that's weird of me to want to just be someone's background noise. But that's the vibe I'm going for. I've tried to do the more traditional types of art videos where I make thumbnails and I do speed paints and I add music to the background. But I found myself losing motivation for that, and I wasn't really interested in doing that again. Like I said, this is not my first time posting videos in any sort of capacity. I think this is like my third time trying to do a YouTube channel. And I think the reason I've been able to keep it so consistent at this point is because it's like really low effort on my part. I don't do thumbnails, I don't add music. All I do is draw and talk. And I just feel like that is better suited to me. Um, it's just I just don't like filming myself. I think it's a pain in the ass. Um, so if I could start trying to do like digital stuff that is more of like a slower speed paint in that I record like I do a screen recording instead of just uploading the speed paint. But the thing about that is I move the canvas a lot when I'm drawing digitally. And I feel like that would be kind of jarring to look at just like the canvas being upside down all of a sudden. And I genuinely mean that. Like I do move the canvas like a lot. Um, Even when I'm drawing traditionally, not when I'm filming, obviously, I don't move the paper a lot, but when I'm drawing just in my sketchbook by myself, sometimes yeah, the paper is upside down. Like I'm flipping it all over the place so I can get the angles that I want. Um, and so I feel like that's really trying to look at, especially digitally. But I guess if people don't mind me moving the canvas all around in weird ways, I can start doing screen recordings. But the problem is that digital is not my preferred medium. I don't mind sketching and lining digitally. I'm just not really comfortable with my coloring digitally. So I don't really do it too often. Uh, so I just prefer traditional art. Um, I don't know why. I think it's just because I'm more used to it at this point. If I move to more digital art, I'm sure I could get more comfortable with it. I just don't really have any interest in that. Probably just because I can't achieve the results that I prefer digitally. Um, Maybe if I was better at it, then I would be all gung ho. That I don't know. Digital art's just not really my thing personally. Uh, I've tried to get into digital art really hard. Um, and I still use digital art for like sketching out finished pieces just because if I really want it to turn out well, I can, fiddle with it a lot more digitally than I can with traditional. Like I can cut parts off and move them where I want them and shrink things, and you can't really do that when you're drawing traditionally. You just have to erase everything, and I try not to use an eraser because it frustrates me if I have to erase things over and over and over and over and over again. So that's why I pretty much only draw in pen nowadays. Um, that and also that I've built up the habit after only drawing in pen for like 2 years at this point. Uh, I don't know if I would recommend just drawing in pen all the time. The whole point of drawing in pen was so that way I would be able to draw things more confidently, and that way I would not have to use an eraser all the time, and I could just have more confidence in my drawings. I do think I have more confidence in my drawings, but I also think that I've crippled myself a little bit in that I have really trouble drawing with a pencil now. And instead of being more confident with a pencil, I'm just confident with a pen. I don't think I became any more confident with pencil, unfortunately. But moving on from that topic, another reason why I've been finding myself lacking the motivation for YouTube videos is because I've gotten back into Pokemon. Um, Listen, I am not a gamer. I'm not super into video games, and I try not to play games on my phone because they distracted me a lot. And I spend my time. I waste a lot of time just playing games. So I'm not really a gamer per se, except I like Pokemon. Okay, if there's one game that I like, it's Pokemon. I have since I was a kid. I just like Pokemon. Okay, and so I've had Pokemon Violet since it came out, but I haven't touched it because um I've talked about this before. When with my hobbies, I kind of can go in and out of them for a really long time, and so I never started playing Pokemon Violet, so I didn't get sucked in. But when I was sick, I found myself really wanting to play the game, but I was too sick to actually play it. I just wanted to go to sleep the whole time. So now that I'm not sick anymore, I was like, well, I'll just go ahead and pick up Pokemon and play it for a little bit. I know people have a lot of trouble with like the Pokemon games, and they're like, it's full of glitches, it's not great. Um, But listen, I don't play a lot of video games, so I really don't care about that sort of thing. All I care about is that every time I take like 5 steps, there's like a new Pokemon and I could catch it. This is like the most fun I've ever had catching Pokemon, because there's just so many to catch. Like every 2 minutes, I'm like, oh my gosh, a new Pokemon, a new Pokemon. I've been playing the game just for 2 days at this point, and I've just been just playing it before I go to work. And I'm like, well, I don't want to work on my YouTube video. I just want to play Pokemon. I caught like 60 Pokemon. That's like the most Pokemon I've ever got ever. I don't know what they did with Pokemon Violet, but they just gave you so many Pokemon to catch. I didn't even know that my favorite part of Pokemon was catching Pokemon. I was just going through the motions. I was just like, whatever, I'll just go beat the gym leaders and whatever, whatever. And I usually only like grind my starter. Other people who like grind their whole team, that's cool. But I'm really just here apparently to catch Pokemon and just get the battles over with as soon as possible, just so I can go catch more Pokemon. This is not something I knew about myself, but I've been really excited. It took me like 5 hours just to get to my school. If you played Pokemon Violet, you know that you have to get to like your school or whatever so you could start school. But in just like the road before you get to school, there were so many Pokemon to catch, and I don't even think I caught all the ones that they had there. They incorporated Pokemon from other games, and I had never had caught like a lot of Pokemon in any of the prior games, so I was like, oh my gosh, a Sunkern. I don't care about Sunkern, but I was like, it's a Sunkern. I'm gonna catch it right now. I'm having so much fun. I will catch any Pokemon so long as I don't have it. And even I'm like, oh, that trainer has a Pokemon that I don't have. I wonder if they caught it around here. And usually they did. Um, but there's just like so much variety in the Pokemon Violet. I haven't played any of like the newer ones like Arceus, and I know Violet came out like 2, 3 years ago at this point. I've just been holding on to it, and I kind of wish that I had played it when I was sick, because that way I would be done with the game and it wouldn't be like taking over my life. Um, the only bad thing is, it's a lot more open world than it used to be. Before, you guys have played the old Pokemon games. If you're like old like me and Pokemon are like the same age. So I didn't like start playing Pokemon as soon as it came out. But when I got older, I did start playing like the newer ones. That used to be the map was really small, and it was trying to really keep you on the road. Like it was a little bit open world, but eventually you would like make your way to like the place that you're supposed to go, like the gym or whatever. Um this game has like 3 different objectives that you can do, and like different routes you can go, and like the map is really big, and there's just like so many Pokemon to catch. Like I haven't even fought any gym battles or anything. I've just been catching Pokemon, and I've also been getting lost because I'm like, I don't know where I'm supposed to go. And that's my fault because I'm not looking at the map, but I'm just so used to never looking at the map when I play Pokemon, because it's like I'll get where I'm going because, there's certain places you're not allowed to go. There's parts that's sectioned off. It's not like that in this game. Like my Pokemon, I think it was like a level 15, and there was like level 20 Pokemon running around kicking my ass. And I'm not used to that. Usually, it used to be that like you were locked in like the same position where it's like all of the Pokemon was pretty much around the same level as you, and if they were higher than you, it was only a little bit higher. You were not really allowed to go where there was like super super high level Pokemon, and if you did, you just got your ass kicked. And so I did get my ass kicked, um, but I freaked out. There was like a Scyther, and it chased me after I ran away from it. I was like, what the fuck? Honestly, I think one of the best things they ever did in the Pokemon games was actually show the Pokemon running around in the grass. So you could just go up to them and fight them, and also you could just run away from them. Having them hidden sucked, I think. So it's a lot more fun now that you can see them, but also it's a lot more jump scares. Like you're in the middle of a battle and you're looking at the other trainer or whatever, and then all of a sudden behind you there's like a Psyduck out of nowhere, and you're like, what the hell? Where did that guy come from? Um, and so it's just been a lot of fun. Um, so I've been trying not to focus too much on playing Pokemon, even though I really want to be playing Pokemon right now. It's like that Pros D sketch. I don't know. I can't remember which Pokemon game he made that sketch for, but he was just like, I could be playing Pokemon right now, and it went on for like 15 seconds. He could be playing Pokemon. And I just think about that all the time. It's just like when I'm at work, I'm like, I could be playing Pokemon right now. And I tried to play before I go to bed, but I get home pretty late. And also, I kept getting frustrated because I kept bumping into Pokemon, and I was just like, I was just trying to get to a Poke Center. Okay, I then that's also a little bit of the problem. The Poke Centers are a little bit more spread out when you're getting lost, like I am. And I'm like, I don't know where that Poke Center is. And like I said, I could just look at the map. If I would just look at the map, I would know where I'm going, but I'm not used to looking at the map. Thankfully, I stopped being stubborn and I was like, I'm just gonna follow the map. And I've managed to get myself to a gym location so the story can progress a little bit. Um, but honestly, having to run past a whole bunch of Pokemon that I haven't caught yet, I'm just like, I wish I could catch that guy. Sorry for ranting about Pokemon, but it's been on my mind lately. Do you guys like Pokemon? So what's your favorite one? For a long time, I didn't really have a favorite Pokemon. I was just like, whatever. I kind of like Lillipup now, but that's just because Lillipups are based off of Yorkies, and I have a Yorkie, and he's a menace in my life, but also I love him very much. And also I like Doodle. Um, I don't really like Dreadnought, but I like Doodle. Just because he's like a little turtle and I like his little funny expression. So if anybody asks me, I would probably say that Doodle is my favorite Pokemon. Just because I really like turtles in real life. Turtles are my favorite animal. And I like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm just like all in on turtles. So much so that every time my family wants to get me a knickknack, they just get me like a turtle. Um, they're like a regular turtle or a sea turtle. I just have like so many turtles. I have tortoises. A tortoise is not a turtle, but they're close enough, I guess, for people to be like, you like turtles, right? I'm like, well, that's not a turtle. It's a tortoise. You can tell by its feet. But I don't say that to people. I'm just like, thank you so much for this turtle. um, I think it's pretty obvious that I like to avoid confrontation, and also I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. So it's a thought that counts, right? They're like, oh, she likes turtles. We'll get her a turtle, and even if it's a tortoise, I'll love it like it's a turtle. Um, I've owned turtles in the past. I didn't take very good care of them because I was just a little kid. Um, Now, if I was gonna get a pet turtle, I would not get a pet turtle because it's a lot of upkeep, and also it's a lot. They need water in their tank or whatever. If I was gonna get something turtle adjacent, it would be a tortoise. Just because I feel like it would be easier to take care of them without having like a whole bunch of water in their tank. Um, Same reason why I don't want any pet fish. It's just really hard to maintain fish. People think that like fish and like tank animals are like, oh, it's like a pet you could give a kid. I would not give a kid a fish or a turtle as a present. It's a lot of upkeep. You really have to make sure that their tank environment is correct and that it stays clean and that they're being fed correctly and that they're not getting sick. I don't know if you guys have seen those channels on YouTube where they're like taking care of fish. There's a lot of work that goes into taking care of fish, and a lot of them, it's like their job pretty much. Like they use their YouTube channel to like help take care of their fish because it's like super expensive if you want to take care of fish the right way, and like they can get really sick. And it's like the same with turtles and like tank animals, like they can get really sick. And it's not like any pet that you get is not going to be a lot of work. I just feel like having tank pets is like so much research and so much effort. Like I know what kind of person I am. I already told you guys like so many times I'm super lazy. I could not take care of a, a, a tank pet. It's just so much work, and I wouldn't want to mistreat them. I want them to have the best life possible. So I, as much as I like turtles, I gotta love them from afar because I know I would not be able to take care of them in the way that they deserve. So now I just live vicariously through Pokemon by catching turtles in Pokemon. The only one I've come across so far has been Choodle. But that's just because I'm super early in the game. I'm sure there's more turtle type Pokemon to catch. Um, Hopefully I can catch a Squirtle. Um, I don't know about you guys. Usually when I play Pokemon, I always go with the water starter. Just because I feel like they're the best one. Usually I can just really wreck house with the water starter. This time I did not choose the water starter. I think most people go for the fire starter, but I've never really been super into fire starters. But this time when you were picking your starter, they let them walk around with you for a little bit. And Fue Coco is like a little crocodile. I was just like, He is so cute. He's so cute. It's like little funny little mouth. If you want me to like your Pokemon design, just give them a funny little mouth, and I'll probably fall in love. I was just gonna pick Quaxley because I was like, he's the water starter. I always go for the water starter, but Fuecoco was so cute, and I was like, he's like a little dog, except he's like a little crocodile. I have to pick him. I also like Totodile. But Totodile obviously was a what's it called, a water starter, but he was also a crocodile, and they gave him a dumb little mouth. He's just so cute. So I didn't really care about the cat Sprigato or whatever. I was just like, whatever, it's a cat. I like cats, but not really interested in cat Pokemon. There's so many cat Pokemon, and there are so many cat Pokemon that did it better. Like Litten. I chose Litten as my starter. When that one came out, just like I said, I usually use a water starter, but I can't even remember who that starter was, obviously, so they weren't very interesting. Not to criticize like the Pokemon workers like creature design. I know I couldn't do creature design, and I'm sure it's like really hard to come up with new and unique creatures. There's only so many animals, and only so many animals that people will find cute and appealing. Like, there's only so much you could do to make like a caterpillar appealing. There's only so much you could do to make like a dung beetle look cool. Right? So I'm not like criticizing their creature design. It's just that some of them are more appealing than others. That's all. And also, I think they're supposed to like fill like a quota for what kind of Pokemon they're supposed to get. Like, they have to have a bug that starts off as like a worm and evolves into like a butterfly or a moth. And they're supposed to have a bird. And they're supposed to have a Pikachu ripoff. And they're supposed to have like a little dog. Um, there's like actually several dogs in this game so far. I didn't even know what I knew about Fido or whatever, because it was like pretty part of the promotion when the game came out. They're like, "Don't you want this little bread dog?" And I was like, "I guess I want a bread dog." Um, I don't know how the dog is made out of bread and lives in the wild. The food Pokemon are always weird. It's like, why is it food? Like, how does it know what food is? It's like those plants that make themselves look like birds. It's like, how does the plant know what a bird looks like? You know what I mean? Like, how does an animal know what bread is? Bread is not naturally occurring. Bread, you have to like make bread. But anyway, and then there was another dog that they had that was Mastiff. I never heard anything about Mastiff. And I was just like, oh, another dog. I thought they already had their dog quota with the one that's bred. Um, but I guess they had to have another dog to fill their dog quota or whatever. I'm not sure if they have like guidelines of what kind of Pokemon they're supposed to design, or if they just sort of just like, do whatever you want. But I think that they have guidelines because there's always a bird, there's always a caterpillar, there's always a dog. Um, and I'm not complaining. Like I said, I like all Pokemon designs, even the ones that are ugly, even the ones that are silly. Like, people got mad about Flamingo or whatever. They're like, it's just a flamingo, and I'm like, that's hilarious. I think that they should get one where they're just like, it's just a bird. Okay, it's just the same thing that you've already seen, but we made it into a Pokemon, and we just made it a little weird. And it's a flamingo. Are you gonna tell me the one that is bred, that's a dog, but it's bred, is not just a dog? Like, let's be honest here. And you're like, oh, well, it's creative, okay? It might just be a dog that's bred, but at least they tried. They didn't even try with Flamingo. And yeah, buddy, that is the joke. That's why it's funny. Okay, I'm sorry you don't like jokes. I'm sorry you don't like things that are a little bit silly. This is a game for kids, okay? And you're telling me there is not a kid out there that's like, oh my god, I get to catch a flamingo in the game. Yeah, there's a little kid out there who's like, flamingos are my favorite animal, right? And now I could just go and catch a flamingo and play with it in a video game, all right? So, yeah, it's funny. Not to say that I don't think that you should be able to criticize the game. Obviously, I don't think anything is really above criticism. That's like made professionally. Obviously, if it's like a little kid and they're like, I drew this, and you're like, oh, what is that? You don't even know how to draw a person. Like, they're a child, obviously. Like relax. But I don't think the that games that are like professionally made are above criticism, and I do think there are some things that do need to be criticized about the game. I just don't think it's like the creatures. I'm just like whatever. The Pokemon look fine as long as they're little silly little animals. I'm fine either way, you know. Also, this is like a note that I have. When did they start like nerfing your rival? Like, I don't remember her name. For Pokemon Violet, I have no idea what her name is. She seems nice or whatever, but for some reason, when in the old games, when you would choose your Pokemon, whatever one you picked, your rival would choose the one that had type advantage over you. Like they were like, I'm gonna kick your ass, and so I'm gonna pick the Pokemon that's more likely to kick your ass, right? And I was always like, yeah, that makes sense. They picked after me. Why wouldn't they pick the one with type advantage where we're gonna be fighting each other like all the time? And I'm not sure when they changed it to where now your rival will pick the one that is weaker against you, but I think that is so silly. Like I'm supposed to like fight them and I'm already grinding my starter. Like, I don't know if they know that when most people play, they're pretty much just playing with their starter. Well, I don't know if other people are like this, but I feel like other people are also like, yeah, I just pretty much just grind my starter the whole time. And so my starter will be like level 15 and the way that your rival is, they're usually like a couple levels lower than you. Um I think it used to be that your rival would be like higher level than you. If I'm remembering correctly, I'm thinking back to like when I played like Leaf Green and stuff, and you would have to fight Gary. I remember I would always get my ass kicked by Gary. Like he was always like super strong. But nowadays I feel like the rivals are really weak. I understand it's because Pokemon is for kids. Obviously, I know Pokemon is made for kids in mind, and they want to make it so that way when you're playing, it's a fun experience and you're not just getting beat up all the time because that can be demoralizing for kids or whatever. Um, but also, I think that's kind of silly. Like, it's okay for you to lose, right? It teaches kids that it's all right to lose and it's not a big deal, right? If you just win all the time, you're not going to learn that. And the first time you actually do lose, you're going to throw a tantrum, and that's not cool. Like, you need to be a gracious loser. So it's okay if sometimes in Pokemon your rival beats you up. Obviously, like beats you up in the game. Nobody should be beating you up in real life, but you know what I mean. Um, yeah, and so yeah, I just feel like they really nerfed your rival. Like every time I meet her, they're like, "She's the champion," and I'm like, "I know she's the champion," and she's like going easy on me. But like, I don't know. When they're like, "Oh, you're so good," and you're like, "No, I'm not good. You're just like super nerfed." I just think it's silly. Anyway, we're reaching the end of the video, so I should probably stop ranting about Pokemon, just for like a little bit. Um, Hopefully it's not gonna come up again in my next video. Unless you guys like hearing me talk about Pokemon and my other interests. And like I don't know if you guys like when I talk about anime and stuff. Um, but this is like a really long video, and it's so hard for me to think of things to say. And so I just start talking about the stuff that has been going on with me lately. And what's going on with me is usually anime or I guess Pokemon. But yeah, this I'm getting into some of the sillier drawings. Um, like I said, some of the faces are really, really silly, and I would never draw them. Like this current face that I'm coloring in right now, I would never draw that. Like, look at his eyes. He looks so silly. And I do like things that are silly. Like, don't get me wrong. I just told you guys that I thought that that flamingo joke for Pokemon was really funny because I like things that are silly. So I don't really mind the faces too much. It's just like I said, it's not something I would usually draw. So it gets me a little bit out of my comfort zone. Um, but yeah, I don't really mind them. There's several faces that I do like in this. Um, it's like I'm having trouble seeing the numbers right now, but like one, yeah, like one E I like a lot. I like two E and I like two F. Obviously, those are ones that the expressions are not really pushed that much. But I like them aesthetically speaking. I feel like they look like Katsuo, the most out of all of them. Um, you guys already know I have some trouble drawing characters consistently. Um, and so I feel like those are the ones that look a little bit more like how I plan on him looking. Um, he's supposed to have like a little bit of a fuller face, um, and just some cute little bangs. And I feel like I accomplished that pretty well with those other ones. Um, but his face is not supposed to be square. So I feel like his face is a little bit too square in some of these, but that's okay. That's why we're practicing. We're not gonna get better if we don't practice, and we're also not gonna get better if we criticize ourselves all the time. Which is why I decided to point out the ones that I like. One E, two E, and two F. Those are my favorite ones. I hope that you guys liked this video. I'm trying to get my motivation back. So hopefully I will be able to keep consistently posting. I only have 2 more videos this week, so it should not be that hard. Alrighty, thank you for spending this time with me. I'll go ahead and see you guys next time. Bye bye.